but at the time it was a huge deal, and it seemed very advanced.
Yeah, it was advanced, and you're going from paper files. I mean, it's like impossible to make connections between. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of cases in Manila envelopes, and the Manila envelopes can't talk to each other.
Right.
But the date when it becomes digital information in a database, the Manila envelopes can now talk to each other and say, "Oh, this guy was arrested here, and he was also there's a pattern. Maybe it's a serial killer." Like, it can make connections for you. It can see all of this data at once rather than, one folder, a human looking at one folder at a time.
Which
So
went from a tool of law enforcement
yeah, law enforcement.
to surveillance. It was just
Yeah.
like that's how it was abused. And I think that's, probably what was a sensitive subject that Danny was getting close to, is the extent of that.
Right. But Danny was looking into that, and he was also looking into this bank that was collapsing called BCCI that had a team of assassins and a private army on retainer. I mean, and that like bank fully collapsed like 2 weeks before Danny died. I mean, and just like poking around into the biographical, history or whatever the connections that Robert Booth Nichols had to both organized crime and federal government, but what maybe Danny figured out that this guy's an informant. There's so many. It's like the murder on the Casolaro Express, who it could have been anyone.
Yeah, it's crazy that you only had 4 episodes to tell this whole story, because so many docu-series. I'm like, wow, this is like 12 episodes too long. And once I saw, I'm like, how are they going to put all this information in 4 episodes? I think you guys definitely did a great job with what you
Yeah.
but I do feel like it's probably one of those series that people are going to have to watch like 2 or 3 times. So like, it's information overload if you're kind of newbie to a lot of this stuff.
Right. And the way that it's edited, like you're just kind of surfing through it or swimming through it, and like it's like you're just going along, and then it's like, oh look, there's another school of fish that's coming by. Oh look, you just kind of like you go from one thing to the next. It's like it's hard to describe. There aren't many movies like this.
There were so
And
many
people,
firsthand interviews, though, that were from the people who were involved back in the day. I'm surprised so many people were still like, remembering it all and alive, and that you could get their firsthand impressions as they went
yeah.
through the cases, from the Insulet case to people who were talking to Danny during his investigation.